Head to Pittsburgh where the Steelers are down 23-7. Rodgers
unsexy about that.
throws to nowhere, one of 11 incompletions on the night, but this one was Jonnu Smith's fault. You know how I know it? He told me. Greg, your reaction.
I'm going to get on Jonnu really quick. You can't do that to your quarterback. Everybody knows you run the wrong route. It's typically going to be when you're playing with a veteran quarterback, even the commentators calling it, I don't care who's calling the game, they're typically going to side with the quarterback. This one was kind of obvious. It was on the receiver. However, like these are, and I don't mind the chewing out, but when you go in front in your presser, in your post-game interview, and you just completely uncover all that happened and talk about film sessions and then talk about he's a true professional. You can't, like, come on, man.
Well, it made me think someone else, like, I don't think Jonnu's the one missing film sessions.
I understand that, but it's like he's poking at all these other things to almost elude why this offense is struggling or why they've had some issues or why this would be a thing. But also trying not to blame Jonnu because this just happens. Look, this was terrible. This was bad. And I give Aaron credit for going out there and playing with the cast on his hand. But if you, Brett Favre told me this one time, and I will never look at people who choose to play injured the same. If you are a guy and you are elite of the elite and you choose to play injured, you better be, the expectation is for you to still be 80% of who you are. And it's like, when I look at that, and I look at Rodgers, and I look at that offense, he's not. And it's not even because he's not one of the elite of the elites. He just can't get it done in the fashion that he once could. But this Pittsburgh offense, not to be able to run on the Buffalo Bills, right, not to be able to throw. I mean, it was terrible.
And they couldn't take advantage of the Bills without both their tackles. The Pittsburgh defense, the T.J. Watt's been MIA, they couldn't. So there's major problems with Pittsburgh that are part of the reason Brew's mediocre Ravens are in such a catbird
We in good
seat.
shape.
But the Rodgers stuff to me is just so galling. And it's just, I'm not surprised by it. It's just Scorpion and the Frog again and again and again. But since we've been doing this show, do you think there is a single instance of Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or Matt Stafford or Lamar Jackson's receivers making a mistake?
That's a good point.
I would guess, yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't name them, but I know Mike Williams didn't know the red line, and I know Jonnu Smith didn't know the hand signal. You know what I mean? Like, immediately. I know it.
That was this year's red line.
Right. That was exactly right. Which is, it always, by the way, it's amazing that none of these communication mistakes ever happen in a 240-yard, 3-touchdown game when Rodgers played really well. And one of the incompletions was a mistake. It always comes in a game when Rodgers was awful and the team lost and he looked old. And then it's like, and listen, obviously, to your point, they missed the hand signal, he ran there. I'm not acting like he didn't run the wrong route. People make mistakes in pro football all the time. And one of the reasons quarterbacks make the most money is the unspoken and sometimes kind of spoken agreement of, you take it all. Yeah, and who was the quarterback that said, if your kid's late for school, blame it on me?
Gino,
my guy. Gino, and that was taking it maybe a bit far, but that's better than this.
Yeah.
And so I've said it before, I will say it again. I just do not feel that guy is a good teammate or a good leader, which is why I believe one of the 3 or 4 most physically talented players to ever play that position won probably the least someone of his talent could have over the course of his career. I think that little extra thing is not there.
Well, look, we'll see how this goes, but this could very well be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. Now, and I think obviously that'll look bad on Aaron Rodgers, but I think it won't look as bad as I would have thought it did. Or in the beginning of the season, when we were I was toying with that prediction because the defense has been so bad. And I get what you're saying about Rodgers. He's done this his whole career. It's like he'll take some blame because he did say, hey, I overthrew the long ball, thought the wind was going to catch it. I overthrew it. But there's maybe some insecurity there where even if he takes a shot at himself, he has to make sure he's not the only one he's kind of taking a shot at. Like he's throwing, you know what I mean? He's saying others messed up too. I will say this about whoever's missing the film sessions. I mean, if you're missing film sessions that you're supposed to be at, then all is fair. I can't side with you when your quarterback calls you out.
If you're missing film sessions, that's also on me.
I mean, show up. You're a professional. I'm not your daddy. I'm not your handler.
Then don't say it in the media.
Yeah, that's the part.
I would, Greg, if we were like,
if I miss a show or do something egregious, I agree. I would rather you not say it. But I messed up, and whatever comes my way because I messed up, it might be unfair, but you know.
So this is my only issue with this is like, if Jonnu Smith wants to go out there and talk about him taking accountability and running the wrong route, great. We need to get the context from him, not the quarterback, not someone who, because what you're alluding to in terms of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar, but I'll use Patrick Mahomes as an example. We always talk about him because he chooses to not do this intentionally because he understands from his position, I'm going to need them to perform at some point. When I truly need them, I need them to know that I've never lost faith in you, and I've never started to doubt you. I may struggle with it, but when you do these types of things, like naturally, it just creates a small little rift.
I don't know if you watched the playback, Greg, but there was like breakdowns on it that he like switched to like a choke call or whatever. And again, it was like kind of, they were trying to figure it out what the exact call was. Is it on the quarterback, if I check out of a play, I'm the quarterback, you're the wide receiver, is it on me to make sure you saw that I checked out of it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, he would always do that pistol thing. Do I have to, like, hey, you know?
Yeah, so the thing with Aaron Rodgers, and again, I played with him for years, he's not going to always, like, he did give the signal, but sometimes when you're not trying to bring a lot of attention to that signal, you don't really look at the player. Like, I'm not going to look at Nick and say,
no,
it's just a subtle whatever, but his expectation is for me to always have my eyes on him. And so you saw the signal, he's assuming, but in this case, he kind of knew.
Okay.
And so as a receiver, you have to take that part of accountability. But to just say
believe it or not, that play didn't. That play was not worth 16 points.
Right.
It was 23-7. He completes 47% of his passes. Bears went into Philadelphia on Friday, left as the #1 seed in the NFC. Caleb had a touchdown, an interception, and a tackle. Turned the tide. Jalen turned the ball over twice. What was the bigger headline for you, Nick? The Bears win or the Eagles loss?
The Eagles loss. Because I have a lot of respect for what the Bears are doing and what they're building. I know Wildes might be like wildly offended by this comp, but I feel about the Bears very similarly to how I feel about the Patriots. Like, this is an awesome 2-year leap in 1 year with the new head coach, with the young quarterback you're building around. They have, one's 9-3, one's 10-2. They've done it very different ways. Mm-hmm. You know what but I don't view either of those teams as likely. Neither one of them would be one of the first 6 teams I would list as going to win the Super Bowl. And I know you might disagree on the Patriots part.
Once you go into Philadelphia and win, though, I think
so I'm saying the same about the Bears Patriots. Like, I just think probably a little soft schedule, but a couple good wins, whatever it is. To me, the story is Philly losing a game. You can't lose the way they lost it. You can't lose that game because Ben Johnson just runs all over you. You can't lose KW. This is what I thought was going to be your focus. We spent more time on this show talking about Ben Johnson mocking the tush push
That was a slick
than
one.
anything than we've talked about the Stanley Cup Finals in the 8 years the show's been on. And the Eagles got the ball taken from them on the tush push. And if you were listening to the broadcast, this was the other stunning piece of it that maybe we should talk about more later this week. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit saying, we think Jalen Hurts would vote against the tush push. Did you guys, if you guys had the sound on, if you were listening, He was like, it was really interesting listening to Jalen talk about it. He made it very clear, I was great at it before they started pushing me. And then Michael says, I think that if it were up to him, the Eagles would be one of the teams to vote to ban it. So, like, the play they love more than anything, they get the ball taken from them. The broadcasters reveal the quarterback don't even like it. The offense isn't working. Like, I think it's fair to be worried about what the hell's going on in Philadelphia, bro.
Look, I think a lot of your points are valid. It is a big story both ways, but to me, the bigger story is the Bears win. Because I just did not believe in the Bears. Like you said, their schedule was weak. Yep. Caleb's not playing great. He's doing fine, but I think now, like I felt like the Bears were the third best team in the NFC North. I thought the Packers and Detroit were on a different level than them. Now I'm feeling like, you know what, Detroit is probably going to be the team out in that division. Now, they play each other, so, you know, they can determine their own fates. But I think now, while I would not expect the Bears to get to the Super Bowl, going into Philly, as you said, with the Eagles coming off a tough loss, with them knowing their history of, man, we can't let this thing keep rolling like this or it could be 2023 all over again, and getting that win. And the thing I like about the Bears, Greg, they don't go as Caleb goes. Like the good thing about him, he does not turn the ball over. I know he had an interception in this game, I think another turnover, but he does not generally turn the ball over. So he might not throw for a ton of yards or touchdowns or anything, but they can move with him because he's not committing turnovers. And if he does make some big plays, even if he's having a bad game. And so if he does have a really good game, it takes them to another level. And so I think they impressed me. I mean, I was not expecting them to win that game, especially in dominant fashion. So that was the bigger story to me.
Yeah, it was definitely a big story the way they were able to run the ball. But it's the Eagles. Like, the Eagles' defense had been playing lights out.
Yeah.
And completely got bullied, manhandled at the line of scrimmage by this Bears offensive line. And again, the Bears can run the ball better than almost every team in the league, with the exception, I mean, they're second in rushing. But when you watch the Eagles, like, we already knew they had issues offensively. Now you're telling me if we run a zone run game scheme against you, the Rams did it and had great success, then now they end up losing that game, but they had great success running the ball. The Bears did it and just continued to do it, and they weren't gashing them for like 20, 50 yards. It was like 8, 9, 6, 9. Like, that is alarming. Because you know your offense is sputtering. Like, they can't, and you're not going to have any issues with A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown is having great games right now. So he's fine. But they're just a really good team that is finding a way to lose. And when you look at the remainder of their schedule, you start to question, can they
have a lot of games they
pull
could
it
lose.
Exactly. Before, we were looking like, man, where are they going to end up getting these losses to where the Cowboys can't catch them? Now you're looking at it like, could they lose to the Chargers?
If they play their game,
which 3 games are easy?
Hold on, the Chargers.
They lose 3 games.
He's saying they're
lose the Commanders, lose the Chargers, lose to the Bills.
I mean, the Commanders look good last night. I get it; they'll have Jaden back and division games. But Buffalo and the Chargers, we know Herbert now is.
But those are so that's the other thing.
This is why it's the biggest story. Too.
At the Chargers is a road game. At one of the Commanders games is a road game at Buffalo. It's tough. I'm just out here firing coaches. I'm gonna make a prediction. If they miss the playoffs, I think Sirianni's fired. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, so I don't think it's going to happen. Wow. But I think Howie
Roseman fired Peterson after he
screw around.
How many coaches are you fired today?
Well, if they miss the playoffs, Baltimore at 2.
We didn't even talk about Tomlin.
Well, you're right.
Packers sweep the Lions, move to 8-3-1. J-Lo turned into Jay. Oh, I threw 4 touchdowns. While Micah Parsons turned into Jay. Oh, I had 2.5 sacks.
That doesn't work.
It sounds negative when you say it.
How did Micah turn into Jay anyway?
Micah.
Jay. Oh, I had 2.5 sacks. Lions flirting with the play. Oh, I missed the playoffs on Jared Goff. Jay. Oh. Packers playing great against the NFC North. It struggled last year. This year they're 3-0.
That's big for tiebreakers.
Winning by 13 points and turning the ball over. How dangerous are your Packers? Talking to Greg and Bro.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, they're very dangerous if we get this version of them. And I say that because when defensively, obviously with Micah being able to pressure the quarterback and you're able to stop the run, you're going to have success defensively. But offensively, if they're able to run the ball the way that they did with Josh Jacobs, we know what Jordan Love can do given time, and he's not having to shoulder everything. This team can beat anybody. They're going to get Jaden Reed back, possibly this Sunday against the Bears. If not this Sunday, then next week. And so you get more depth at the receiver position. Another weapon for Jordan Love. We saw what Wicks did against the Lions. Offensively, they're in a really good position if they can run the ball, because a lot of what they do is similar to the Rams. A lot of their success in the passing game stems off of what they do in their formations and their motions as it pertains to the running game. If they can't do those things in the running game, it really makes them one-dimensional, and you can't mirror all these same looks. So I love what I saw, and if we get that version, yeah, of course, they can beat anybody.
I agree that, them at their best is a Super Bowl contender, like a team that could beat anybody in the NFC or the league.
And I thought, Brew, that was the first time they've looked like that since week 1.
I agree.
Something about the Lions brings it out of them, but they looked unbelievable.
No, I agree, and Jordan obviously was great. But Greg and Josh Jacobs had some great runs, no doubt, and they need that. But the money they're paying Jordan, the stature that, he kind of has in the league. I mean, he's not a star yet, but people feel like he should become one. He's often in the preseason, not just with me, but talked about as a guy that could win the MVP. Even like he and the receivers are my biggest question with them. What Jordan, and he hasn't turned it over this year. He's only got, I think, 3 interceptions. I think he's gone 5 straight games without a pick. So he hasn't been turning it over, but he was special in this game. And he has to be special more often. And I think he can, and the receivers too. They dropping too many, getting Jaden Reed back will help. They still have a lot of other guys injured, but they have depth at the receiver position, not greatness, but a lot of good depth. And so if they get B+ and above level Jordan Love and receivers, then I do think they can beat anybody, because the defense is for the most part going to be there.
Micah is he's the first player in league history to have 12 sacks in each of his first 5 seasons. And it's because he is, and this phrase gets overused, but it's not incorrect with him, a generational talent. He is one of the best pure pass rushers in the history of professional football. And I understand that because of the Jerry Jones media machine, we started talking about one of the greatest pure pass rushers as if he were a nose tackle. And well, how does he stop the run? But those TFLs, by the way, are against running backs.
Right.
And so, he, as Tyler Dunn put it, he detonates games. And that is, to me, what he did. And so I was wildly impressed by the Packers, who I've not been high on what they have produced. I was high on the idea of the Packers, so with that game I thought was awesome. I also think that this thing getting away from Dan Campbell and the Lions is a disaster. The Lions missing the playoffs is a disaster.
Yeah.
Now, he's not one of the coaches I'm firing if they miss the playoffs, but
They might have missed that win.
Right. I mean, and they make the conference championship game. They're up 17 on Brock Purdy and the Niners. They lose. Dan Campbell's like, we might not be back here. The next year, they're better. They have 15 wins. They're injured at the end of the year. They lose their first playoff game. If they then miss the postseason when they have been, I understand nobody's fully healthy, but we don't look at the Lions like, oh man, they were devastated by injury this year. Laporta's out. They've dealt with some offensive line issues. They have an injured retired center who's now going to stay retired because he's injured.
Amon-Ra St. Brown got hurt in that game.
Right, but he's been healthy throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so it just would be, it would be really, really tough for the Lions with this much talent, because they do have one of the best rosters in football. They don't find their way into the postseason. And Wildes' beloved athletic playoff predictor
30%
gives them a 30% chance to make the playoffs.
And they're also going to lose to the Cowboys on Thursday.
Wow.
You agree with me?
Early upset alert for you, KW.
You just mocking
Mark
me,
it
or
down.
you actually feel that way?
I think the Cowboys win, yes.
Where's the magician? Oh, wait.
Colts
he
have
disappeared,
lost
like the Colts.
2 in a row. Daniel Jones has a broken leg. This doesn't seem to be talked about enough, Greg.
It doesn't.
Guy's got a broken leg.
Luckily, Greg just explained to us what Brett Favre told him.
Yeah,
Sauce Gardner left the game yesterday with a non-contact injury, only out a couple weeks, though. But still, I do not love that at all. Here's the AFC standings. Jags, Colts, Texans, and then my Titans, 1-11. But the odds.
NA. They won't even let you place a bet on the
Cam
Titans.
Ward's like, let's go. Hey, it's 4th and 2. We got 1 win. Can we go for it?
Yeah.
Greg, are your Colts done?
No, they're not done. But boy, they are slipping, and we're gonna find out who they are. Like, and to your point, you talk about the injury, the leg. As I tell my kids, no one cares. No one cares. If Daniel Jones,
But that's what you tell your kids when they get an A on a test. You're like, no one cares. Shut up.
I mean, but no one cares about the injury because you've had so much success. I look at this team and I look at the rest of their remaining schedule, and I'm like, okay, they have to bully one of these.
Who they bullying?
Teams. It better be the Jags.
Jags are sneaky good.
They're sneaky good, but are you saying that the Jags are you believing in them?
I mean, against a quarterback with a broken leg.
Yes.
The Prince is not great. I think he can outplay a guy with a broken leg.
And so here's the thing. If Daniel Jones has a clean pocket, we saw it even yesterday. He has to have a clean pocket. He has to be protected. If that's the case, I love what they're going to be able to do if they can still run the ball. If that's not the case and they're starting to get injured with non-contact, you get Sauce, you gave up a whole lot to get him. Obviously, you knew what you were going to look like or you were hoping to look like while acquiring him. It's going to be hard for them, but I trust the Colts before I trust the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Here's why I don't think you should. Because through hook or crook, the Jags are playing some of their best ball, and the Colts have been bad for a month. The Colts' best game the last month was a loss to the Chiefs. That's the best game they've played, and they collapsed down the stretch. They show that schedule again, and let's dig in to this fictitious team that bought into it. They bought into their own hype and traded 2 first-round picks for a corner who's a very good player and sadly is hurt. But I think they're going to regret that because what you will look at that when you really, it's like, okay, that win over Atlanta was in overtime. Right? I think that was a London or Berlin game or Germany game. So it's been tough football for a month. The win over Denver, you give them credit for it. Denver's an excellent team. That was the game where they missed the game-winning kick and there was a leverage penalty called. So they have 2 wins to hang their hat on this year. The Denver game, which was in the final moment, and that Charger game, which was an excellent win. If they lose in Jacksonville this weekend, they're going to lose 5 straight. They're going to get beat up by Seattle.
See, I can see them going 1-4. I see them splitting with Jacksonville.
No.
And then
you misunderstood what I meant, bro. I meant 5 straight, including their 2 losses they already had.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that if they lose to the Jags, that'll be 3 straight. Yeah. And then losing the 2 West Coast games. And then all of a sudden, I understand mathematically they won't be eliminated by any stretch. But the soft data. The vibe shift from being 8-2 to being 8-7, I don't know that you recover from.
They're done.
I think they're done.
And we'll see, because if we were to put up the Jags,
you know what
schedule?
Yeah, you know what you get like about the Jags schedule? They get to play the Colts.
They get to play the Colts. Yeah, you would say if we're looking at them, you would like, well, they play the Colts.
They'll probably split.
You're not sitting here saying that the Colts are just completely done because they don't have a good team. We're focusing on just Daniel Jones and the drop of play.
No,
if they can protect him, he can still make throws.
Teams have figured out, like the Rams, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Houston, they stop Jonathan Taylor. Keep him under 100 yards, no rushing touchdowns, and they beat him because they're trying to make Jones beat him, and now he's got an injured leg.
Lane Kiffin headed to LSU, literally had fans giving him the middle finger on the tarmac, so they're not too happy about that. Ole Miss 11-1, but Lane's leaving them as they head to the playoff. Kiffin writing on social media, you know what, I was hoping to complete a historic 6-season run this year by leading Ole Miss through the playoffs, capitalizing on the team's incredible success and their commitment to finish strong, and investing everything into a playoff run with guardrails in place to protect the program in any areas of concern. Ole Miss AD said, no thanks, pack your bags, and we'll put your clothes outside on a rack like it's Bruce robe. Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
Nick, your reaction to this Lane Kiffin drama?
He's old enough to know you never get everything you want. You got to make choices, man. And I have found some of the coverage of this informative and some of the coverage of this embarrassing. Obviously, the college football calendar is a problem. Obviously, you would like to think there is a body in place that could put up guardrails that prevent. Same reason why nobody in the last 5 years has been like, hey, Andy Reid, right before the playoffs start, $30 million a year to leave the Chiefs. You know why nobody's done it? Because they're not allowed.
Not only that, but like the Broncos.
Right, exactly. Right. And so that doesn't exist in college football. So those are big systemic issues. We all know that. But ultimately, this came down to one man's decision. And that man, Lane Kiffin, right or wrong, decided what was best for him and his career and his bank account and his legacy, and those are all within his right, is to leave this program on the precipice of its greatest moments in the history of the program. And that's fine. I really believe that's fine. You can dislike it, but it's fine. But with that, you forfeit the sympathy of like, man, this was hard. It was a choice. Yeah. It was a choice that you made that you decided would make you happiest. So don't then tell me about how sad you are. And so that's my reaction.
I agree that there's no sympathy for him. And the real villain is the NCAA calendar. It's ridiculous. I mean, come on. It's just total foolishness. That said, this is, for the time being, this is college football. It's year to year. And I typically feel, and even still feel for the kids, because they went there wanting to play for Lane Kiffin. I get that. But some of those kids that play in the playoff are going to transfer next year. Right now, college football is year to year.
Yep.
And you have a chance to, I get it, why they're upset with Lane Kiffin. He's not just leaving the program. He's going down the street.
Down the street.
Right, LSU. I get all that. But you're Ole Miss. You're not LSU. You're not Florida. You are not a blue blood type program. This is your one shot to win the championship. It's year to year. I would go for it if I'm now, unless the players are just so ticked off that they're done with him. But if the players are fine with it, I would have been like, man, I get it, he's leaving, but this is our chance to win the championship as Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Brew, but no. Look, man, as it pertains to how things work in college football, like when a player decides I'm out, I'm done, it's hard for them to then walk back into a locker room and be like, but hold on, before I go, though, let me play one more game with you guys. You just,
but you
the
don't
vibes
think some of the players are
just
talking about, man, I think I'm out of here next
year. Absolutely, amongst players. They haven't accepted the transfer, put themselves in the transfer portal and all the things. When a coach does this, like, we appreciate my number one coach that has ever coached me is down there with Lane Kiffin right now, George McDonald, phenomenal coach. And I believe, I don't know this, like, it's hard to have him coach these games because he's potentially going to start plucking these coaches too. Yeah. So you're going to have a coaching staff that is trying to be vested in winning something for an organization and a program that hasn't done these things before in Ole Miss, and then completely try to focus on, what are we going to do? Having these side meetings of who are we thinking about hiring on this side? No, my wife and I talk about this all the time. When somebody puts in a 2-week notice, they're already checked out. I don't need you to, thank you for the courtesy, but you can go ahead and go. Because I know you're not going to give me the same level of vested interest because you're now distracted. You have a pull somewhere else. It's not just about the kids. That's the reality of it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.